Oh, how could other fans not? Like the Lakers get gift horse Luca in a trade that is I still think is lopsided, and then you get Kawhi Leonard for free after you couldn't get him a few years ago. Like if I was another fan, I would instantly think that.
The NBA world is stunned as reports reveal the Lakers are ready to drop $100 million on Kawhi Leonard just as his Clippers deal risks being voided over that $28 million fraud scandal. 6 years after missing out, the Lakers could finally steal their superstar. But will this blockbuster move spark an all-out NBA war?
All right, so let's talk a little bit about what should happen here. Should the Lakers be interested in Kawhi Leonard if his contract gets, let's say the NBA, they find wrongdoing, they void the contract. Kawhi's not a Clipper. He is forbidden from re-signing with the Clippers, and some amount of money is still sitting on the Clippers books.
The Los Angeles Lakers are secretly preparing the most audacious free agency move in NBA history, a potential $100 million offer for Kawhi Leonard that could completely reshape the Western Conference. But this isn't just any ordinary pursuit of a superstar. This is the Lakers positioning themselves as the ultimate winners in what might be the biggest salary cap scandal the NBA has ever seen, with explosive allegations that could see Leonard's entire Clippers contract voided and him hitting free agency in the most dramatic fashion possible. Here's the absolutely wild part. Back in 2019, when Leonard was a free agent, his uncle Dennis Robertson made outrageous demands to teams, including requests for partial team ownership, private jet access, and guaranteed endorsement money outside the NBA's collective bargaining agreement. Lakers owner Jeannie Buss firmly declined these illegal requests, telling Leonard's camp, "You're crazy," and citing CBA violations. The Clippers, however, apparently found creative ways to accommodate Leonard's demands, and now we're seeing exactly how they allegedly did it. The irony is absolutely incredible. The Lakers, who refused to bend the rules in 2019, might now benefit from the Clippers' alleged rule breaking. If Leonard's contract is voided due to this scandal, he could end up exactly where he would have gone if his camp hadn't made those outrageous demands 6 years ago. Talk about karma coming full circle. Current reports suggest that if Leonard becomes available, he has zero interest in leaving Los Angeles, making the Lakers the obvious destination. Sources within the organization indicate they've been quietly monitoring this situation for months, preparing contingency plans that could allow them to make Leonard a competitive offer without violating any rules themselves. But that wasn't the whole story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, like I don't want his camp near the team at all.
So no Uncle Dennis.
No, like the distraction with Kawhi is good. Like, let's just zoom out. Like, I'm saying yes, but my real answer is probably no.
No.
I'm playing more devil's advocate here, Trevor, but like, just the PR hit that the Lakers would take to sign Kawhi.
The financial mechanics of this potential move are fascinating. The Lakers would need to clear some salary cap space, potentially requiring trades involving players like Gabe Vincent or other roster moves. But here's the kicker, because Leonard's contract could be voided rather than traded, the Lakers wouldn't need to give up any significant assets in return. This would be dramatically different from a typical superstar acquisition where teams surrender multiple players and draft picks. The basketball fit is undeniably compelling. Leonard's elite two-way play, combining lockdown defense with efficient scoring, would complement LeBron James and Anthony Davis perfectly. His ability to guard multiple positions and create his own shot addresses several of the Lakers' current needs and could elevate them into legitimate championship contention. But here's where this gets even more interesting from a strategic standpoint. If Leonard's market value has been damaged by this scandal, the Lakers could potentially sign him for significantly less than his previous contracts commanded. We're talking about the possibility of acquiring a former Finals MVP at a substantial discount due to his legal complications and reputation damage. And what happened next would shock everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first and foremost, like I don't want his camp near the team at all.
So no Uncle Dennis.
No, like the distraction with Kawhi is good. Like, let's just zoom out. Like, I'm saying yes, but my real answer is probably no.
No.
I'm playing more devil's advocate here, Trevor, but like, just the PR hit that the Lakers would take to sign Kawhi.
The internal debate within Lakers circles is real and complex. While Leonard's talent is undeniable, he's a two-time champion and Finals MVP with elite credentials. His association with this scandal and his notorious availability issues create legitimate concerns about whether pursuing him is worth the potential complications. However, there are compelling arguments for why the Lakers should absolutely pursue this opportunity. First, the financial terms could be incredibly favorable. If Leonard is facing legal liability from his involvement in the aspiration fraud scheme and his reputation has taken a significant hit, he might be willing to sign for far less than his typical market value just to secure a fresh start with a reputable organization. Second, the competitive advantage would be enormous. When Leonard is healthy and engaged, he's capable of single-handedly changing a franchise's trajectory. His 2019 championship run with Toronto, including that legendary Game 7 buzzer beater against Philadelphia, demonstrates his ability to perform in the biggest moments. Adding that level of playoff experience and clutch ability to a Lakers core that already includes LeBron and AD could create something special. Third, there's the psychological warfare aspect. Signing Leonard would deliver a devastating blow to the Clippers organization. Not only would they lose their star player due to their own alleged misconduct, but they'd watch him join their crosstown rivals. This kind of outcome would represent one of the most dramatic reversals of fortune in recent NBA history. The Lakers' salary cap situation makes this scenario realistic. With some strategic moves, they could create the necessary space to make Leonard a competitive offer, especially if his asking price has been reduced due to the circumstances surrounding his potential availability. But there's a crucial balance here.
So I know I said yes, and I think playing devil's advocate was fun, but like my real answer is no. And I think
flip-flopping.
No. I genuinely, like, if it was available for a veterans minimum, sure.
That's it. If it's a veteran.
Yeah, but like in general though, as a fan, I think like what I am enjoying is that the Lakers are suddenly, I posted this on X today actually, like the Lakers are finally in a place where they're not the most dramatic team in their own division.
This point about organizational stability is crucial to understanding the Lakers' approach. The team has worked hard to create a more stable, drama-free environment, and there are legitimate concerns about whether adding Leonard, especially given his current legal complications and history with his uncle Dennis Robertson, could disrupt that progress. But consider the alternative scenarios. If Leonard signs with another Western Conference contender like Denver, Phoenix, or Golden State, it could significantly harm the Lakers' championship aspirations. If he somehow remains with a weakened Clippers organization, he's still a threat in the same division. From a competitive standpoint, the Lakers almost have to pursue this opportunity if it becomes available. The timing couldn't be better for the Lakers either. LeBron James is still performing at an elite level despite his age, and Anthony Davis is in his prime. Adding Leonard to this core could create a championship window that maximizes the remaining years of LeBron's career while setting up the franchise for continued success. There's also the historical redemption aspect that makes this story so compelling. The Lakers' principled stance in 2019, which cost them Leonard at the time, would now be vindicated. They refused to compromise their integrity, and now they're positioned to benefit from their rivals' lack of integrity. It's almost poetic justice. The broader implications for the Western Conference are staggering. A Lakers team with LeBron, AD, and Kawhi would instantly become the favorites to win the championship. It could trigger an arms race among other contenders, potentially leading to a series of blockbuster moves as teams try to keep pace. The Lakers front office, led by Rob Pelinka, has shown patience and strategic thinking in recent years. Rather than making desperate moves, they've waited for the right opportunities. This Leonard situation could be exactly the kind of opportunity they've been waiting for. A chance to add a superstar without sacrificing their future or compromising their values. But all this hangs on the shocking truths now being revealed.
It's hard. It is hard. Like, I think the Lakers have like what, a 32 second they could throw in a deal.
Yeah. Right.
Like
cash considerations.
Like second round swap. Like
right.
This is what I'm talking about.
What about a first?
Oh,
like, what if it costs a first round pick? Then
no. This is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't want to give up anything of value for Kawhi.
While the Lakers prepare their master plan, the scandal that could make it all possible is exploding across the NBA landscape, with shocking new revelations emerging daily. The allegations against Kawhi Leonard and Clippers owner Steve Ballmer represent potentially the most sophisticated salary cap circumvention scheme in NBA history, involving fraudulent companies, missing millions, and a web of deception that has prompted the NBA to hire one of the most prestigious law firms in the country to investigate. According to explosive investigative reporting by Pablo Torre, Leonard signed a $28 million endorsement deal with a company called Aspiration, a deal that required him to do absolutely nothing. Zero promotional work, zero social media posts, zero appearances, nothing. Did you ever see proof of Kawhi Leonard marketing or endorsing Aspiration in any way? Never, not once. The single largest payment to an individual for marketing that Aspiration ever made has completely evaded all press. It's honestly incredible. Nothing. The anonymous Aspiration employee's testimony is absolutely dementing. $28 million for literally nothing. But here's where this gets even more suspicious. Steve Ballmer, the Clippers owner, had invested $50 million into this exact same company just weeks before Leonard's deal was signed. The timing is so obvious, so blatant, that it's almost insulting to anyone's intelligence, because this is about the extension Kawhi signed in 2020. But it involves, true to the alleged setting that I'm in, 2 Harvard graduates, 2 Democratic politicians starting what turns out to be a $2.3 billion scheme around climate change and saving the planet that brings in a roster of endorsers like Robert Downey Jr., Drake, Leonardo DiCaprio, Cindy Crawford, Orlando Bloom. The list goes on. Pablo Torre's investigation reveals just how sophisticated this alleged scheme really was. Aspiration wasn't some fly-by-night operation. It was a well-connected company with endorsers including major celebrities. But here's the kicker. Leonard's deal was reportedly more than 4 times the combined value of every other celebrity endorsement the company had signed. Think about that for a second. A company that had endorsement deals with Robert Downey Jr., Drake, and Leonardo DiCaprio. Actual global superstars with massive social media followings and proven marketing power paid Kawhi Leonard, who barely speaks publicly and has virtually no social media presence. More than all of them combined. And for what? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But wait, it gets even worse. Aspiration, the company at the center of this scandal, has since filed for bankruptcy, and its co-founder Joe Samberg has pleaded guilty to wire fraud involving over $248 million.
The single largest payment to an individual for marketing that Aspiration ever made has completely evaded all press. It's honestly incredible. Nothing.
This isn't just about basketball anymore. This is about organized fraud on a massive scale. The documentation that Torre obtained shows Leonard's actual signature on a contract that included clauses allowing him to decline to proceed with any action desired by Aspiration while still collecting full payment. In other words, it was specifically designed to be a no-show job from the very beginning. Even more DMing, the deal reportedly included a clause that would void the contract if Leonard left the Clippers, creating a direct financial incentive for him to remain with the team. This is textbook salary cap circumvention, using third-party payments to influence a player's team choice in ways that don't count against the salary cap. And it's Kawhi Leonard, his autograph right next to the guy who turns out to be, by the way, the youngest speechwriter in White House history for Bill Clinton, Andre Chiney, the co-founder of Aspiration. In that contract, he has outs that our pal David Sampson poured over, in which you clearly see Kawhi was also not obligated to do anything. Steve Ballmer's response to these allegations has been both swift and suspicious. In a carefully orchestrated interview with ESPN, Ballmer claimed complete ignorance about the details of Leonard's deal, despite being the primary investor in the company that paid him. I don't know why they did what they did, and I don't know how different it is. I really don't. And frankly, any speculation would be crazy. These were guys who committed fraud. How would I be able to con me? But critics are already poking massive holes in Ballmer's "I was conned" defense. Mark Cuban, himself a former NBA owner, has publicly questioned how someone as sophisticated as Ballmer could be so completely in the dark about a deal involving his own investment and his own star player. It is a bit hard to imagine somebody this brilliant financially, this rich financially, worth tens of billions of DM dollars to sit there and listen to him say he got duped. That is a hard thing to stomach because you don't become that successful getting duped. Okay, so he has to understand that's very difficult for people to comprehend. The credibility gap is enormous. Ballmer didn't become worth over $100 billion by being naive about business deals, especially ones involving his own investments and his own employees. The idea that he had no knowledge of a $28 million payment to his star player from a company he personally funded is stretching believability beyond the breaking point. The timeline of events makes Ballmer's denials even more suspicious. In September 2021, the Clippers announced a massive $300+ million sponsorship deal with Aspiration, which would have included arena naming rights for their new Intuit Dome. Just weeks after this announcement, Leonard's personal deal with Aspiration was finalized. This wasn't some small side investment. This was supposed to be one of the biggest sponsorship deals in NBA history. The idea that Ballmer would be completely unaware of how his investment was being used, especially when it involved his own star player, is simply not credible. When this man is on the court, he is a bona fide superstar player. This brother is a 2-time champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, okay? He can ball. Doesn't shrink beneath the spotlight or the pressure. I am. This is in no way questioning his greatness as a basketball player, but I have stated this on many occasions. He is the worst superstar I have ever seen in sports. Worst, and superstar being the operative word. Stephen A. Smith's brutal assessment goes beyond just this current scandal.
And it's Kawhi Leonard, his autograph, right next to the guy who turns out to be, by the way, the youngest speechwriter in White House history for Bill Clinton, Andre Chiney, the co-founder of Aspiration. In that contract, he has outs that our pal David Sampson poured over, in which you clearly see Kawhi was also not obligated to do anything.
This is about a pattern of behavior, a player who has consistently found ways to maximize his compensation while minimizing his actual responsibilities and availability. Leonard has missed over 200 games during his 5 seasons with the Clippers, often citing load management and various injuries. This brother will check the absentee ballot as much as he possibly can throughout his career. So when I saw this report and it said money for doing nothing, I said that's what made me pause. Not because of Steve Ballmer, not because of the Clippers, because of him. Because if there's a way for this brother to get money guaranteed without working, that's what that brother has done. The investigation has also revealed potential connections to Leonard's uncle, Dennis Robertson, the controversial figure who was at the center of the 2019 free agency investigation. Robertson's history of making extreme demands for Leonard, including requests for team ownership and private jets, suggests a pattern of pushing the boundaries of what's acceptable under NBA rules. The NBA's investigation is moving rapidly, with league officials reportedly interviewing former aspiration employees and reviewing thousands of documents. The league has hired Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen & Katz, the same law firm that handled the Donald Sterling investigation, signaling just how seriously they're taking these allegations. The potential penalties are severe, fines up to $7.5 million for teams, draft pick forfeitures, and even contract voiding. The last major salary cap circumvention case involved the Minnesota Timberwolves and Joe Smith in 2000, which resulted in 5 forfeited first-round picks and millions in fines. But this case could be even more severe. The Timberwolves situation involved a relatively simple under-the-table agreement. This aspiration scheme involved multiple companies, hundreds of millions in fraud, and a level of sophistication that suggests extensive planning and coordination. Other NBA players have begun to weigh in on the scandal, with Indiana Pacers star Tyrese Halliburton joking about wanting his own no-show job during a televised college football broadcast. The fact that players are openly mocking the situation shows how seriously the basketball community is taking these allegations. Aspiration's bankruptcy filing reveals that Leonard is still owed $7 million from this deal, meaning he received $21 million before the company collapsed. This creates a complex legal situation where Leonard might be required to pay back money he received from what federal prosecutors now consider a fraudulent enterprise. The scope of the investigation has expanded beyond just the Leonard deal, with investigators now looking at whether other players or teams might have been involved in similar arrangements. If this is revealed to be part of a broader pattern of circumvention, the penalties could be even more severe. As this investigation continues to unfold, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This isn't just about one player or one team. This is about the fundamental integrity of the NBA's salary cap system, and whether teams can find creative ways to circumvent the rules that are designed to maintain competitive balance. The outcome of this case will likely set precedents that affect how the league operates for years to come. What does this all mean for the future of the league?
I don't know why they did what they did, and I don't know how different it is. I really don't. And frankly, any speculation would be crazy. These were guys who committed fraud. How would I be able? Look, they conned me.
As the NBA investigation reaches its critical phase and the full scope of this scandal becomes clear, the ripple effects are already reshaping the entire league landscape. The potential punishment for the Clippers could be franchise-altering, while teams across the NBA are scrambling to evaluate their own practices and prepare for a new era of enhanced scrutiny. But at the center of it all, the Los Angeles Lakers remain perfectly positioned to emerge as the biggest winners in what could become the most consequential offseason move in recent memory. The investigation's timeline could work perfectly in the Lakers' favor. If the NBA's probe extends into the season, Leonard's value could continue to decrease as uncertainty about his future grows, his reputation takes continued hits, and potential legal liability mounts. The Lakers could wait for the optimal moment to make their move, ensuring they get maximum value while minimizing risk. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has stated that the league will get to the bottom of these allegations, and the involvement of Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen & Katz signals this is being treated with the utmost seriousness. When the NBA brings in the same law firm that handled the Donald Sterling case, you know heads are going to roll. What do you imagine the repercussions might be of this story? The Ballmer, to reiterate, has denied any wrongdoing, didn't know about any of this, says it's provably false. I await the proof, frankly. But nonetheless, Steve Ballmer is the richest owner not just in the NBA, but all of sports, right? He's the good guy who saved the Clippers from noted racist Donald Sterling. The potential punishments being discussed are absolutely staggering. Based on historical precedents and the severity of these allegations, the Clippers could face fines exceeding $10 million, forfeiture of multiple first-round draft picks, and potentially even the voiding of Leonard's contract. Some legal experts have suggested that if the evidence is as damning as it appears, we could see unprecedented penalties that make the Timberwolves case look like a slap on the wrist. But here's what makes this situation particularly interesting from the Lakers' perspective. There's growing discussion about whether the punishment should force Leonard to remain with the Clippers as part of their penalty, creating what some have called a shotgun wedding scenario. I mean, it's a couple things here for us. First, right, it's one, if you're talking about relationship analogies, it's almost like the opposite, right? It's like till death do us part, even though we know that they're not good for each other. It's forced the Clippers to marry Kawhi. I mean, it's almost like a shotgun wedding, and Adam Silver's holding the shotgun. The irony of this potential punishment is incredible. If the NBA forces Leonard to remain with the Clippers while they face years of penalties and restrictions, it could create an even more toxic situation that ultimately benefits the Lakers when Leonard eventually becomes available. The relationship between Leonard and the organization would be irreparably damaged, making his eventual departure even more likely.
It is a bit hard to imagine somebody this brilliant financially, this rich financially, worth tens of billions of dollars, to sit there and listen to him say he got duped. That is a hard thing to stomach, because you don't become that successful getting duped. Okay, so he has to understand that's very, very difficult for people to comprehend.
Multiple NBA analysts have noted that this investigation has exposed systemic vulnerabilities in the league's salary cap enforcement. The sophistication of the alleged aspiration scheme suggests that other teams might be operating similar arrangements that just haven't been discovered yet. This could lead to a league-wide audit of player endorsement deals and team-owner business relationships. For the Lakers, this broader scrutiny actually works in their favor. Their refusal to participate in questionable arrangements in 2019 now looks prescient rather than naive. While other teams scramble to ensure their own compliance, the Lakers can focus on positioning themselves for Leonard's potential availability. The financial implications for Leonard personally are becoming clearer. Not only could his current contract be voided, but he might face legal liability for his role in what federal prosecutors have identified as a fraudulent scheme. With Aspiration's bankruptcy and Joe Sandberg's guilty plea to wire fraud charges, Leonard could find himself in serious legal jeopardy. This creates an unprecedented situation where a superstar player might be desperate for both financial security and reputation rehabilitation. Enter the Lakers, who could offer both. A fresh start with a prestigious organization that refused to participate in questionable dealings could be exactly what Leonard needs to rebuild his career and his image. The psychological aspect of this potential move cannot be understated. Leonard's relationship with the Clippers organization would be irreparably damaged if these allegations are proven true. Playing for a team whose owner allegedly used him as a pawn in a fraudulent scheme would create an impossible working environment. The Lakers could offer him an escape from that toxicity. The broader competitive implications are staggering. If the Lakers successfully acquire Leonard, it would immediately shift the balance of power in the Western Conference. Teams like Denver, Phoenix, and Golden State would be forced to respond with their own aggressive moves, potentially triggering the most dramatic arms race the NBA has seen in years. Kawhi Leonard is a good basketball player when he plays basketball. It's just literally less than half the time. But like I said, you've got to bring the hammer down here on the Clippers if it's proven that, there were improper things happening here.
I mean, it's a couple of things here for us first, right? It's one, if you're talking about relationship analogies, it's almost like the opposite, right? It's like till death do us part, even though we know that they're not good for each other. It's really
force the Clippers to marry Kawhi.
I mean, it's almost like a shotgun wedding.
Shotgun wedding. And Adam Silver's holding the shotgun.
You really don't want this paving the way for other teams to do this in the future. The enforcement aspect of this case will set crucial precedents for the future of the NBA. If the league allows the Clippers to escape with minimal punishment, it could encourage other teams to attempt similar schemes. The Lakers' patient, principled approach could be vindicated in a way that reshapes how business is conducted across the league. The timing of the NBA's 2026 All-Star Game, scheduled to be held at the Clippers' new Intuit Dome, adds another layer of complexity. If the investigation concludes with severe penalties against the Clippers, it could create an awkward situation where the league's marquee mid-season event is hosted by an organization under sanctions. From a Lakers perspective, the investigation's timeline creates multiple favorable scenarios. If Leonard's contract is voided immediately, they could pursue him this season. If the process drags out, they can continue to monitor the situation while maintaining their current roster flexibility. If Leonard somehow remains with the Clippers, but under a cloud of suspicion and organizational dysfunction, it only makes his eventual availability more likely. The Lakers' salary cap management has been particularly shrewd in recent years, maintaining flexibility while building a competitive roster. This approach has positioned them perfectly for exactly this type of opportunity, a chance to add a superstar without sacrificing their future or compromising their values. The historical parallels make this story even more compelling. The NBA has faced salary cap circumvention scandals before, but none with this level of complexity and external criminal activity. The Timberwolves/Joe Smith case involved a simple under-the-table agreement. This aspiration scheme involved corporate fraud, bankruptcy, and federal criminal charges. If Leonard's contract is voided and he becomes a free agent, the Lakers would have several advantages in pursuing him. First, his market would be limited due to his legal complications. Second, his desire to remain in Los Angeles would work in their favor. Third, their clean reputation and principled stance in 2019 would make them an attractive destination for a player seeking to rebuild his image. The basketball fit remains compelling despite all the off-court drama. Leonard's two-way excellence would immediately elevate the Lakers' championship aspirations. His ability to guard elite wings and create his own shot in crunch time addresses two of their biggest needs. Paired with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, he could form one of the most formidable Big Three combinations in recent memory. The financial terms would likely be favorable for the Lakers as well. Leonard's market value has undoubtedly been damaged by this scandal, and he might be willing to accept less money for the security and reputation rehabilitation that comes with joining a prestigious organization like the Lakers. The Lakers front office, led by Rob Pelinka, has shown patience and strategic thinking throughout this process. Rather than making desperate moves or compromising their principles, they've positioned themselves to capitalize on opportunities when they arise. This Leonard situation could be the ultimate validation of that approach.